Hi, I'm Krista. Welcome to Yes and, a podcast that explores life through shared stories and curious conversation. As the current intern in the Northwest Folklife's Creative Workforce Development, the CCW program, I have the opportunity to work in the Cultural Programs Office at Seattle Center and support Festál, a series of free, unique cultural festivals organized and created by community at Seattle Center. In this podcast, I will be interviewing fellow interns from the CCW program about our experience within the creative industry and cultural sector. We'll explore how to create a better workforce dedicated to supporting us, the creative youth. Special thanks to Moss from Ground Zero Radio and the Vera Project for supporting this podcast by letting my guests and I record in studio. Please support Festál, Northwest Folklife, GZR, and the Vera Project because I wouldn't have been able to do this without their endless support. But tune in to each episode on YouTube and you'll learn something new with each interview. After listening to my lovely intro, I wanted to reiterate how I'm revamping this podcast from Seattle Center Festál by interviewing the other interns from the CCW Northwest Folklife program. You may ask, what is this program? So Bev and I are part of the Northwest Folklife in collaboration with Office of Economic Development and the Office of Arts and Culture, and we're part of their internship program that allows us to have paid internship with other young Seattle creatives. And through this revamped podcast, my central question throughout everything will be focusing on cultural identity and how our cultural identity is reflected or not reflected in different work environments, as well as focusing on how to create a better workforce environment dedicated to creative youth so that the next generation after Bev and I will continue to cultivate cool stuff that we are doing. But yeah, can you introduce yourself, Bev?
Yeah. What's up, you guys? My name is Bev, and right now I'm the creative intern for Milli Creative Agency.
Okay, how did you find out about Milli Agency? And can you tell a little bit about its history and background?
Yeah. Let's see. I feel like I follow Mike on Instagram, and essentially before I was connected to Mike because we were both essentially part of the same club back at University of Washington. Shout out Mike because he actually started the University of Washington's Hip Hop Student Association. So that's kind of, since he started that club, that's how my connection started with him. And I was already kind of, I guess, following him on Instagram. And so I've known about his agency for quite maybe 2 years now.
Yeah.
And I always told myself when he sends out that he's looking for an internship or if there's an interning being offered there, then I'm gonna hop on that right away. So yeah, I would say maybe March he posted on his Instagram kind of just mentioning hey, here's a link, my agency is kind of looking for internships, so ask me questions if you are interested. And then I just kind of applied. I was just kind of really hoping and praying that I at least get an interview or write my cover letter because I worked really hard on it. But yeah, that's kind of how I found out about it. And then obviously I'm here now. I get to intern with them, and they're such a cool agency. As soon as I found out about them, I was really researching about what they were doing, because the biggest thing that I was interested in was how I guess Mike being a dancer and an ex break dancer before, and then transitioning into more of a creative kind of platform and agency. That was kind of the transition that I was interested in discovering. And right now Milli is essentially an agency that is really, really leaning into creating narrative power for a lot of organizations and people, and they focus a lot on the storytelling aspect of a lot of things. And that's something that I really resonate with, not only as a dancer and creative, but also just as a person being interested in how there's a lot of power in being able to tell stories, and being a designer is a really powerful position because you're the bridge between organizations and people wanting to send this message out to people, and you're essentially able to make that message connect with other people. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the main reason why I'm just really, really enjoying working and interning with Milli right now.
Didn't you guys celebrate the 10th anniversary?
Yeah, we did. That happened in August, and that was honestly so fun to be part of, just because I'm just being able to sit in these circle conversations about like Milli in the past and like how they've grown, and also just like celebrating the connections that they are able to have now 10 years later, and hearing how like Milli was essentially like a place for like even like creatives fresh out of college being able to find a job and get their start in the creative field, and then ending up in like higher industry places like LA, and being able to work down there, do photography, do creative direction down there. So it's like a really cool starting ground for a lot of creatives, where now they're kind of able to really like blossom and like lean into their like creativeness in other areas too. So
okay, see, this is why I wanted you to be the first episode of this event podcast, because I'm going to give some talking points about Festál, because it feels like there's a lot of overlap of like Festál started as like 11 festivals in 1997, but throughout the years, like it's culminated, because now next year in 2025, there's going to be 25 like cultural festivals, and Festál is very unique because it doesn't exist anywhere in any like major city, because what city is going to provide free free venues and like rent and just like a space for like a cultural community to celebrate their like anniversaries or just like celebrations in general. And yes, the Cultural Programs Office, which is where I work at, exists to support Festál. And one of my bosses likes to describe it as we're the Office of Protocol, meaning we manage Festál, and any decisions and processes comes through us first. We serve as a liaison between the like City of Seattle and Seattle Center and the community organizations, and each festival is assigned an event rep who oversees the logistics and event planning. And each month we hold a monthly Festál meeting to meet with the producers. I went to my first one just last week, and it was really important to listen to their reports and take note of what can be done better next time. And so Bev said that she is a graphic designer for her agency, and I don't know sometimes like what I do exactly, because like my internship is very broad, but like I do a lot of like the social media and work with like the website team and like the marketing and communications, because in terms of like marketing for Festál, we do print materials, we do press releases, radio, website, buying digital ads, and we promote Festál as much as we can throughout the Seattle Center campus. So if you're like at the monorail, you'll see digital signage, and when you're walking out, you'll see like the printed signage too. We have to approve the Festál logo and their materials before they can print and distribute, obviously. So that's why my boss likes to call us the Office of Protocol, because nothing can get approved or can bypass us without us and like the community festival leaders approving it first. And we've noticed how like language and also like the design of certain things and how certain cultures want to be perceived in a different way, which is again part of like a branding story that we try to tell. And some things of like our festivals is that we try to attend every festival as much as we can, though it's not mandatory, but we want to maintain our strong relationships with each festival producer, because at the end of it, we want them to feel supported in any way we can. For example, I've been to Live Aloha with Moss and Alex, and I went to Fiestas Patrias, and we did some vendor interviews, we did some socials, and it didn't feel like work, because I honestly like enjoyed the festival, and there's performances, and it's like you're already experiencing it for free. And I practically stayed the entire day because I had so much fun. But enough of me yapping. How's your like work experience with Milli so far been?
Right now I'm reaching like, the internship program is about like a 6-month program. So right now I'm like I'm in like my last couple weeks. So I finished in November, and like overall it's been such a great experience. Like I feel like as a student, like the biggest experience gap that you don't get to have is being able to be part of like the internal process of like working with a client, because in school, like all you're doing is your client is your teacher. And so you're just like giving stuff for a grade, and there's like a clear breakdown of like criteria, right? But like when you work with a client, like there are moments where maybe you have to like go back on an idea or backtrack because maybe this direction isn't working, or like there's just a lot of changes that happen. And so it's cool to like see how that like navigation happens in like an actual real like business and a real like agency.
It's very different when you're actually in it.
Literally, because I'm just like watching. I'm like, what is going on? But I'm like, wow, like y'all know what you're doing. Okay,
it's very professional,
right? Because I mean, like it's like a company, you know. But it's just been cool to see that, and also like I guess be given the opportunity to do the same thing too. Because like within Milli, like I get the opportunity to do like my own portfolio project based on anything that I want to do. And like what's really nice,
docuseries.
Yes, shout out. I don't know when it'll come out, but sometime soon. But yeah, like you get your opportunity to do like portfolio projects. And like the really nice thing about that is that you don't need to think about like what resources you may not have. Like I'm like, oh, like I don't know how to record and like do audio or whatever, but I really want to do this project where I get to interview people. Then it's like nice because Milli's like, well, you think of the idea that you want to do. Don't think about scope or whatever. Yeah, like the resources are things that we're gonna provide. If you are like, I really want to interview like famous breakdancers like all over the States, and they're like, okay, like we'll help you like make those connections and find those people and like try and make things work. So overall, like, yeah, it's just been cool where I feel like I've been able to really like blossom in like my own like creative thinking and like apply that like in school now too.
What are some challenges that you've faced working with them, or like what are some projects that have challenged you as a graphic designer?
I would say like a challenge is navigating the professional like field, I guess.
I second that.
Because it's like, I don't know, like, I mean, yeah, I've worked and I've like boba done this or whatever, but it's not like the same as like interacting with like people that I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's like, I don't want to disappoint these people. So if it's like, oh, like someone's like, oh, like maybe you should have like communicated this earlier on or something like that. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. Like, what? I should have known that. What am I thinking? But that's partly just because I'm hard on myself. But like navigating the professional field, communicating, like thinking way ahead and being like, okay, if I know that I'm going to be gone on this trip, like creating like, what is it? Like an out of office plan where I'm like working and like, I don't know, working while also like being away so then I can like help out in certain areas. I don't know how to explain that, but just like experience like that has been like challenging, but really rewarding because I'm like, okay, like this is like really good experience to have. Yeah. And then I think your other question was about projects, right? Projects that have been challenging.
Or I guess maybe like you were assigned like a different design project that you weren't comfortable in that particular style.
Yeah. So I was able to be part of a project where I essentially was able to work on packaging. And I guess package design it's not something that I've done before where I'm like designing on these like very specific like diagrams and things, because like when you're designing for packaging, like it's not in like a 3D way, like everything is like flat. So some things are upside down and whatever, and you have to design it like to that scale. So it's like having to like print those diagrams out and actually like make mini versions of the box so you can understand like the way things are and how the form is when you actually like have to design onto that like flat paper. That was a challenge, but like I'm so grateful to be like part of a lot of people that have experience and are telling me like, oh, what I like to do is print it out and build it, and that helps me visualize it. Like I have a really, really nice and great advisor and mentor. Shout out Tiara. I freaking love you. But she's been helping me a lot in terms of just like navigating like creative projects that I'm not like totally familiar with, but still like letting me feel like I have creative freedom to explore and also like learn from her at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that's all amazing stuff. And again, like I feel like the projects that I've taken on at like Seattle Center have been like similar in the sense of like the challenges of like that professionalism of like you have to be like quick on your feet and like moments where like things aren't going as planned.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of noticed how like with event planning and like festival producing, it's like nothing will ever like go as you want it to be.
Exactly.
Like especially on like the day of the festival, the night before, like loading in, loading out, like there's always gonna be like a mishap that you just like cannot predict.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like being able to be like very flexible and like calm and collected in those moments, like I feel like that's what I've learned from watching like Vivian and Heidi, who are like my bosses, interact in those situations where it's like what are we gonna do, what's our backup, like how can we be more accommodating, and like how can we overcome these challenges so that it doesn't happen again at the next festival. And yeah, like it's been very like all over the place, but I do kind of enjoy the chaos because I feel like that really prepares you for the real world, because it's like you might have this like ideal like mindset of like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, but it's like projects come here and there, and then like sometimes you're behind, or sometimes like a project may not be moving as fast as you want it to be. But I feel like that's taught me how to be like more patient too. And I feel like you've described like how working for them, like the work environment that they've cultivated for you makes you feel like you can do a lot of like creative freedom. And I feel like that's something so great about both of our internships, because like where can we really honestly find like another internship that can give us as much freedom as like where we found it? Because sometimes I'm like, yeah, like I feel like they create these kind of environments because they want us to feel very empowered and feel very confident in the work that we can do, so that we can take on a lot of beautiful and great things in the future.
Yeah, and take on bigger projects that like as students, like we might not have resources to try and do like on our own, you know? Like I feel like that's been like a really, really nice like realization where I'm like, wow, like I probably wouldn't have been able to do like a lot of these projects or make these connections if it wasn't for like the resources and like community of people that like I now have access to. So
and how they're very willing to help too, because I feel like any project or like idea that I've brought up to Vivian and Heidi, it's like it's not like they've never said no. Like they've always let me like try and like explore, and like obviously they'll have like their critiques here and there, but it's like sometimes I don't know if you get this too, where it's like am I like, it's not imposter syndrome, but it's more like you second guess yourself a lot. Of just like, am I doing this right, or like they trust me so much, so it's like you don't want to disappoint them.
No, I literally like, it's not imposter syndrome. Well, no, granted, I do. That is a real problem. That is like real. But I feel like it's at least for me. Like these are just people that I like. I don't know. It's like I want to impress you. Like any work that I present to you, I want it to be like my best, you know? And sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to show you something that like I'm still not feeling like totally confident in, where I didn't spend hours like being like, okay, is this the wording like the right? Or like, do I need to reword this so they understand? I don't know. But it's just been cool because I like, the biggest thing that I've also been learning in terms of like even presenting ideas, because that's something that I have to do a lot, especially when I'm like working on like this project with Milli. Like I'm bringing these ideas and I'm presenting it to them. I'm presenting these concepts, presenting these, I guess, treatments, these visual treatments for how I want things to go. And like the biggest thing that I feel like, I guess I feel really empowered when I'm able to like present and talk to them, because even though like it's so nerve-wracking and I'm always like, oh my gosh, like I'm scared, just because like presenting to like professional people, you know, where I'm like, is this like
you still
good?
feel like a little girl?
Yeah, I feel like a baby where I'm like, oh my gosh. But like what I appreciate about like the feedback that like both of us are able to have, even with your internship, like it's never like it's like no, you shouldn't do that. Like that idea is whack. Like what? Why would you think of that? Like it's never. It's like granted, I would never want anyone to experience like feedback like that. But it's always the type of feedback that makes you really expand on your idea even more. You know, like it's like pushing you to dig even deeper on what your concept really is at its core.
Yeah.
What the narrative really, really is at its core. And that's like the type of feedback that I feel like is the most valuable, especially in a space where you're the person learning from other people, right? Because they have experience in this and they're like telling you like, this idea is great. Like, we need you to dig even deeper on like really like what you're really trying to get at and what the heart of this like message is. And that like also inherently like turns your project to be even more like, what word am I looking for? More intentional.
Yeah.
You know, there's more meaning behind it because like there is so much thought that goes into projects, but it always starts with like that initial concept and then you like really like refine and like chip away at like, until you really create something that's like, you know.
And to add on, I feel like both of our internships have really helped us reimagine a better like work-life like schedule or balance, or just like what that type of environment should be cultivated at. Because again, like I want to reiterate how like we're both very privileged to be in like positions like we are, because I really don't think I'd have this creative freedom or this like freedom in general to do a lot of the things that I'm doing, and I feel like you feel the same too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful that like I have like internal connections that even like led me to discover this internship and led me to discover like Northwest Folklife and this internship program that they offer. And also meet other people that are just doing really, really cool stuff that I've been able to meet. And it's just been like just a cool experience to kind of be able to do that and like even have the resources to, I guess, ask people to read my cover letter or my resume and like check on that, because I feel like that's also like a privilege that a lot of people don't get to have. They don't know how to make resumes or stuff, you know, like professional type like stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Well, we're getting to the end of this interview, and the last question that I wanted to ask was, is the art you're creating with your internship reflective with your cultural identity or identities in general? Or is it not reflected?
I would say it's a hard question. I feel like in terms of like my cultural identity, like I'm an Indonesian American, and I guess like in terms of the projects you work on, like it's hard because like you have like clients, right? So it's sometimes like some clients like aren't always going to be like Indonesian American like associated or things like that. So I don't know, it's a hard question to answer. Like I feel like right now within like the 6 months that I've been working at Milli, like I don't think I've been able to work on projects that I like culturally identify with.
Okay.
But in terms of social advocacy, like heck yeah. Like I've been able to do a lot of like really like cool work with organizations that I feel like really care about like social advocacy, social good, like being resources and being connected with like the youth. That's something that I really love, because I feel like Milli was kind of even like helping me connect with those organizations, because sometimes like you only hear about like a few names, but you don't like hear a lot about like smaller organizations or other organizations that are here or maybe not in Seattle. So that's something that I like feel happy that I like have been able to like contribute to in some sort of way.
That's amazing. Okay. Where can they find like Milli on their socials, and how can they support?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Milli, their Instagram, I think, is just Milli Agency. And then they have a super cool website that's like super interactive. So you should definitely check the website out. Shout out Perry, I think, who designed it. If it's not Perry, sorry, I don't remember who designed it.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah. So those are the socials. In terms of supporting, I don't know. It's not like we have like a donation page, but check out our work, because I feel like that is probably the biggest way to support. Like, be aware of like the work that we do and the type of narratives and story that like Milli tells, because in my opinion, like I feel like Milli is just like a very unique creative agency amongst like a whole sea of people that are all trying to do the same thing. Like I feel like there's something really unique about being focused on like narrative storytelling and not just like these really like cold, just like I guess
very
ads
corporate.
And corporate stuff, where I feel like this is like, you really want to get down to the real and the gritty and the like authenticity of like stories and like messages that people want to tell, like check out Milli.
Yes. You can follow and support Seattle Center Festál by coming to our festivals. We have at least 1 to 2 festivals a month, and our summer is always so packed. You can follow all of their socials at Seattle Center and Bev said Milli Agency.
Yeah.
Our internships both have websites that you can check out. And then, can you give your personal @ Bev?
Oh, my friend. Follow me on Instagram, y'all. It's Beverly Talakua.
And then she has a cool docu-series coming out for her portfolio. I don't know when that's coming out.
We'll see.
You can follow me personally at Krista_Orejudos, and then also my other podcast.
Yeah.
That me and Bev will record after this at Krista's Curiosity.
Yeah.
And follow Ground Zero Radio at GZ_radio. Yes. Okay. Bye.
Peace.